month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. All right. So, one of the things I think is good to remind people of is that a number of the decks that I play on this stream are viewer-submitted deck lists. So we are not playing this configuration of this red-black aristocrat-style deck because it's something that I'm interested in playing or working on. This is a viewer-submitted deck that we're starting off almost card for card, something that someone submitted. I would be surprised if my takeaway at the end of this deck is it's better than the other configuration that we're going to play later today. Notably like Siege Gang Commander as opposed to Bontu and things like that. Krenko versus things like Tibalt. So let's dive into some match. We're gonna go in with try and keep an open mind. But again, my expectation looking at this on the surface is I would be surprised if this ends up being better than the other lists that we've played. To keep that. This card's like a magnet for dying. So like having a backup for after they kill the first one is good. Yeah, I do think this is one of the reasons why I like the other red-black aristocrats build we've been playing. It does what I was talking about there, which is it's a bit of a brew, but it's an aggressively slanted brew, which is what you want. Torch Courier with Priest is kind of cute in the mid to late game, huh? Because you can give this haste and then activate it right away, which is kind of sweet. Exomorex, thank you for the brand new Prime support. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now. Thanks for supporting my stuff with that. Yeah, Courier with Krenko is kind of neat. One of the things I'm gonna try later today when we play the other black-red builds, I'm going to try cutting Heartfire, because while Heartfire is really good off the top to burn people out, I've had a lot of situations like this in the mid to early game. Got you, Zorobux. It's really awkward that there's like isn't a creature in a lot of the hands that we have. Another thing that's interesting is, like, one of the things this build is giving up compared to the other build that I've played is this build doesn't have access to Gutter Bones. So this build doesn't really have a repeatable way to generate creatures. I guess Krenko kind of counts, but Krenko dies to removal to not let him do that. So, like, just imagine if this was a creature, right? Why do you think Naya Feather is a lot worse than Jeskai Feather Plaid? Can you elaborate and articulate as opposed to just taking a shit on the thing that I like? Help us understand. Educate and encourage. Don't just crap on. You are eternally Goblin Instigator. Mayhem Devil seems like it kind of has diminishing returns without a Bontu too, but I guess Mayhem Devil is also kind of good with Siege Gang Commander. Now, I think so like the red-black Aristocrats build I have for later today that I put together plays, what does it play? It plays another Footlight Fiend and another Judith, just like more copies. Alright, let's get some Lava Coils in our deck. Feel free. I believe anyone can add quotes, so feel free to add quotes. If you feel like I said something funny. Definitely want Lava Coil and Tibalt. Krenko's just bad against any decks that put a bunch of creatures into play, right? I feel like I want a couple of Bontu at my top end for this matchup. Phoenix is probably okay too. I feel like I want to just take my deck and pull up a bit. Something like this. Costly Plunder. Yeah, I honestly just feel like I don't have enough creatures in a lot of matchups, Karn Daddy. Feel like I just want as many creatures as possible. Feather decks are built around the idea of card advantage from Feather. Naya Feather seems to be more aggressive, but what I'm seeing, it doesn't race that well compared to Gruul or Mono Red. Jeskai Feather runs a lot more defensive spells, so you can afford to take your time and rack up the card advantage. I don't know. I feel like that's, and this is why it's important to get the details, then you can have a discussion, right? So, like, I feel like if you're positioning yourself to max, I feel like you're positioning yourself with your description there. Your idea is that you're trying to maximize the best card in your deck when it's out, but, like, you shouldn't have to maximize the best card in your deck. The best card in your deck should just be good when you have it. So, like, if Feather is out in any of these decks, you're likely winning the game. So making changes to your deck to maximize when Feather is out seems kind of silly, because when it's out, you're probably winning regardless. Heartfire is main board. As always, if you have a question about what we're currently playing, you type !deck in chat or access the deck list on the on-screen widget. Sure, but that's going to happen in the Jeskai build too. Like, if you wanted to play more protection spells in the non-Jeskai build, you have access to more protection spells. Like, there's a reason why the Naya build doesn't even play 4 of the Indestructible spell. And I get that Dive Down protects from more than the Indestructible spell does, but it doesn't protect from that much more. Like I said, when I talk about making changes to decks, I often like to focus on this deck has this problem, and we're aiming to solve that problem by making that change, this change. And in my experience playing the Feather decks, the biggest issue with the Feather decks is having the right mix of resilient threats and pump spells for them. And things like Thrash Threat help address that wrong mix problem, as well as things like Gruul Spellbreaker give us additional resilient threats that are also aggressive. The Cool 7 article should be up right about now. I believe they publish about 10 a.m. CST. Should be up any minute. Alright, so we can just never win. They're gonna gain 12 next turn, and we're just I guess Rekindling Phoenix is good. Maybe these Rekindling Phoenixes can draw us kicking and screaming across the finish line. Yeah, exactly. I basically don't want to maximize Feather. I want Feather to be this thing in my deck that's good when I have it, but my deck is still functional when I don't. I mean, I don't know that tier infinity is really accurate, Pokemon nerd. Like, the Feather deck top 8 at the last Grand Prix, and it's felt very reasonable a lot of the times we played it on stream, whether it's Red White or the Naya build that we played last time. I really feel like the Feather deck meets that requirement that I've talked about of, hey, excuse me, hey, this is a deck that has an aggressive slant, so it's like reasonable to be working with because it's aggressively slanted. Yeah, the straight Boros build seems fine. It was reasonable when we played it last time. We haven't played the exact Grand Prix list, but we've played other iterations in the past, and it seemed more than reasonable. The Naya build is very, very close to the red-white build. The Naya build is essentially green lands in the mana base and Spellbreaker over Krenko.
Come to me.
We're not playing Giant Growth. Giant Growth is a pretty individually weak card. We do get to play Collision Colossus, though. Collision Colossus is great.
Every defeat is a new beginning.
Yeah, I agree. 10th District Legionnaire, like, consistently feels like the best card in that archetype when we play it. Mardu Feather. Sorin getting back heroic target. That's kind of sweet. Should we trade Butcher there? I don't know. I can go either way on that. Do you have a finality? Nah, I think not playing around a removal spell there is loose. So, like, I could be overly aggressive, but I really don't feel like there's a reason to. So, our Siege Gangs are Lightning Strikes now. So, we got that going for us. So, if they make this an 8/8, I still can't kill it. The Death Horde trigger, this is going to be not have any power. Yeah, Snap Horde goes to -3. I'm going to deal 1 point of damage to the Jade Light, so this way they can't save the Jade Light with the finality. It's a real shame this is a Mayhem Devil and not a Judith. Deal -3 damage to you. If that had been a Judith, they'd have died here, right? So you can see this one says targeted by elemental, this one does not, so that's how you can tell which Phoenix you want to get back with the second egg. Good interface thing there to point out that Arena does well. 18. They have 17 power in play. I'm at 18. I think I'm just passing. I think that there was a good example of Bontu probably would have been better than Siege Gang. It has survived the finality. It would have turned goblins into extra cards for us. My Horizon article is posted. If you want to know which cards I like out of Horizons in terms of potentially being constructed playable, it's a good place to start. That's aggressive. I might shuffle the order on the next 3 decks and play the stock Black Red Aristocrats deck immediately after this one, just so we can, like, show people a feel for what the differences are, one right after another. Before we dive into the next one, I just like to say good morning, good afternoon, good night to everybody wherever you're at in the world. Thanks for dropping in here today. Welcome. If you're a new viewer, my name is Jeff Hoagland. I stream Magic full-time here on Twitch. I'm here playing Magic 30, 40, sometimes even 50 hours a week. If you enjoy constructed Magic, this is definitely the channel for you. We play a lot of different decks here, and we change decks every 60 minutes to 2 hours, so you get a lot of variety in what you stream. As always, I'd love to give a shout out to all my wonderful subs. I wouldn't be here day in and day out without their support, so thanks to all of them for keeping me employed. I'd also like to plug a couple of my sponsors here really quick. The Nerd Rage Gaming Championship Series, a $5,000 cash tournament series that happens every single month in the Midwestern United States. If you can't make it out to the Midwest to play in one of their standard, modern, or legacy tournaments, be sure to check out their streaming coverage as well at twitch.tv/NRG series. BCW Supplies would love to help you protect your very valuable paper Magic the Gathering cards. Their Elite Guard 2 sleeves are just $8 for a 100 count pack before you apply my Jeff10 code to get a 10% discount there with them. Cardsphere.com will love to help you turn your cards into other cards direct with other players. And of course, we'd like to welcome everyone out there to Hoaglandia. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now, and I appreciate everybody spending part of their Wednesday here with us. Heading on into our next match here with this Goblin slanted build of Black Red Aristocrats. And play 2, 3, 4, 5 matches with these depending on how long they take. And then we're going to roll on into playing some, the more traditional build of Black Red Aristocrats that I played at the MCQ. Turn 1 Land War Elves. Yikes. This card's a lot worse on the draw. Anytime you play Dreadhorde Butcher and you're like, well, I can't attack with this on 2, it's just like, ugh. Alright, well now we can attack. Right on time, 1 drop. That is completely reasonable and beatable. To be fair, this loss here isn't really happening because we're playing goblins. We'd be dead with most decks to this draw.
How rude!
How rude! It's the part where they cast Mass Manipulation and take both my creatures. Or the Entrancing Melody, my Dreadhorde Butcher. Can see Hydroid Crisis is welcome down here.
Behold, nature's true power.
Alright, that's a curve. I mean, the Nissa still doubles their mana. I mean, we're still dead. We're still dead, I suppose. I think Kaya's Guile makes Esper the best control deck. I don't know. That's something that's really hard to kind of know, DJ, because what's the word that's for? It's difficult to really know because they're going to like what's the word? Field of Ruin. That's the word I'm looking for. Field of Ruin is an incredibly powerful card. So like losing Field of Ruin to play Esper, or like having worse mana with Field of Ruin, is a real cost. That's that. That's what you'd kind of need to figure out. Yeah, the fact that Nissa lands, she doubles the mana and then gives them vigilance, so they're able to still like protect while adding to the board every turn. Well, here we are. All right, third time's the charm, right? Next one's gonna get it. Yeah, I think Archmage Charm is going to be pretty reasonable. I read Nassif's takeaway, and he said it was going to be, he felt it was just worse than Cryptic Command a lot of the time, but I feel like he's undervaluing mana efficiency. Like, efficiency is a really big part of Modern, and like, being 1 mana more efficient than a Cryptic Command I think is going to be super relevant in a lot of situations. Hey, Dr. Brew, thanks for re-upping your Twitch Prime this way. Welcome back. I appreciate you keeping me around. Goblin Instigator is interesting in this archetype. I don't know if I like the whole, like, Siege Gang Commander Skirk Prospector angle, but, like, this card curving into Judith seems very, very reasonable. Abzan, eh? Stinger! Thanks for the 25 months. I appreciate it. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Hope you're having a wonderful morning. This is a little aggressive, but with the other Judith in my hand, it seems fine. I'm gonna like play this other Instigator out, and the next turn we can play this and attack for 8. So we're missing lands. Revival is interesting. Had lands. Maybe they're missing the 5th land. So they're dead to full attack here. Beauty is a good one. So the opponent's playing like Abzan mid-range. Tibalt seems good. Krenko just seems really bad again. There's just so, like, this effect is, like, pretty reasonable against, like, control decks and the combo decks that aren't playing creatures, but, like, there's just so much blocking that happens in this format that I'm, like, really hard-pressed to believe that this card is worthwhile. Sacrificing goblins to add a single mana to your mana pool also doesn't seem particularly stellar. Yeah, they could be a Dreadhorde deck. I also saw someone had linked a Abzan Citadel deck that seemed pretty reasonable, that was playing a lot of the cards that my opponent's deck was playing. That's correct, Rose. Pretty much just focus on the competitively slanted constructed formats. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that. The number of situations where Krenko is better than War Boss, I think, tend to be few. I mean, and to be in Krenko's defense, I don't think Krenko or War Boss are very good matchups like this, which is why the decks that I play War Boss in, he's in the sideboard. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, kind of inclined to agree with that, Stacko. So, like, the black-red list I've been playing, there's 4 Legion War Boss in the sideboard, and there's 3 Tibalts in the main. Hey, there's nothing wrong with just playing digitally, Rose. Honestly, if your goal is to just play games of Magic, you get to play so many more games digitally than you do in paper. Did it run hot or feel legitimately reasonable? Maybe a little bit of both. It's hard to know, Jace. All the sample sizes are small. I really need to play a deck probably like for 3, 4, even 5 sessions on stream to get a really good feel for it. Like, a single session, even one that lasts 90 minutes, is like, you know, like 6 matches at most. My little devil trades for the Chupacabra here. Would we like to trade Planeswalkers?
I'm listening.
Thanks, Dauber.
Alive.
We would not like to trade. We're eating a land. You do not get to gain a life, though. Tibalt will have none of this life gain shenanigans. Oh, Butchworthy. Big throbbing nose. Felicia. Scale of 1 to dead. Where's this Judith at? Dead side of the scale, got it.
That got my attention.
And the fact that they've been sacrificing lands here means I don't even have to play Dodge the Finality, which is nice. Small slip up from the opponent there, not floating a mana from their swamp. That sucks, Zero. The government is known for many things, but efficiency is not one of them usually. Yeah, I agree, Z-Boss. And we were actually talking about that earlier, that the format feels a lot like Modern feels, and that there's just so much going on that, like, you have to just play a variety. You have to, generally speaking, proactive things tend to be better. So I'm going to sacrifice this Goblin to get a mana, so that way I can sacrifice Siege Gang Commander to himself to kill this Chupacabra. That is true. Vraska's gained a lot of points of life. Are they dead? No, right? This is only 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I could do 11 here. They've decided they're dead. They're functionally dead. All right, we're on the scoreboard. Good, it's a good start. On the scoreboard. That thumbs up is mine, Black Rabbit. So the next 3 decks that we're playing today are decks that I slotted into the deck queue to play because they're the 3 decks that I'm considering playing at the MCQ next weekend. Need to figure out by Friday which deck I want to play. I mean, we're gonna get to Aristocrats, Feather, and Sarkin today. Those 3 are the 3 I'm considering. Any reprints I want to see in 2020? Grafdigger's Cage. If you listen to my earlier iterations where we talk about Feather, I talk about how decks like that are often difficult to find correct configurations of because they need the correct mix of threats and non-threat tools. Whereas things like mono red aggro, it's easier to create them efficiently because you're just trying to maximize damage output. And as the format matured, people have found the correct mix, it feels like. As an educated human capable of growth and change, I'm able to make a statement and then think about it critically and then change my mind when the evidence contradicts what my opinion has been previously.
Fully for you.
So, ideally they shouldn't have a Wrath for 2 more turns here. Judy next turn is going to be pretty good. Stella's good bottom. Thank you for the 4 months. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around.
I'd be less frustrated.
Hey, J Muscle. Thanks for the 23 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Well, Shalai insulates them from Priest. Yeah, Priest targets the player.
But I doubt you can do better.
Dovin's been real good here in the face of Dreadhorde Butcher. This is the style of matchup where Krenko should theoretically be good. Especially with Torch Courier on board, so we'll see. Yeah, I agree. The black-red Aristocrats deck is basically a thinking person's mono-red. It's like, it's got a lot of neat little tricksy things to do. It's probably not quite as powerful, but it's pretty aggressive, has some fun draws, and like has a lot of good gameplay decisions. Sure.
Let's slow this down.
Sure?
I'm not ready for this quite yet.
I'm well equipped to deal with nuisances like you.
So I was gonna Krenko with haste here, but Dreadhorde Butcher is too juicy to pass up getting going here.
This is hardly my worst defeat.
Oh, that's why they tucked Priest. Got it. That's why they tucked Priest. This means they're less likely to sweep the board, which is nice. I guess they could have Time Wipe as their sweeper of choice here. Now, Priest is going to get to enter the battlefield with haste next turn, which is sweet. Well, I had to go and say they're less likely to play a sweeper, right? I had to go and say they're less likely to play a sweeper. Those were in fact the words that fell out of my mouth. Hit them for 8, Matt, because Judith triggers too. They have another removal spell here. Yeah, basically.
I'm sorry I'm late. Hurry!
I think I want to trim my top end here. This card's just so mediocre. Yeah, bring in Bontu and leave in Mayhem Devil and a couple of Siege Gangs. I guess Duress is pretty good. Lyra is definitely a card that makes us happy to have Heartfire. Lyra definitely makes us happy to have Heartfire. No Lava Coils? Why would we want Lava Coil? Lava Coil only does 4. Lyra's an X5. I guess they had Shalai. They did play Shalai, didn't they? Shalai just feels like it was so long ago I've blocked it out. I don't know, I feel like at a certain point that's just like too much interaction. Like, I'm definitely not the reactive deck in this matchup, right? I'm supposed to be trying to run them down. Good to see you around, Settolution. Hope life's treating you well. I mean, we don't guaranteed lose to Shalai. We have a couple of Heartfires. I guess Priest doesn't kill it, which is kind of a problem. But we can just attack through it. Maybe like 2 Lava Coils could be okay. Yeah, we're probably gonna do some wrap up and talk about what this deck is doing a little bit after this match Shape has, before we move on to the other build. Yeah, Arena's good stuff. They got a lot right. I don't know if they got this card right, but a lot of the things surrounding Arena they got right at least. And this Duress card sucks. Why does anybody play this Duress card? Why does anybody play this Duress card? It's like pay 3 mana, look at their hand, concede. Yeah, overall this kinda felt like what my expectations were going in, and that we kind of took the red black Aristocrats deck I'd been playing and like messed it up around the details to be quite a bit worse. Goblin Instigator and Siege Gang Commander Fair is Fair felt reasonable in different situations, and I could see this being an interesting piece of top end in the other build, because this is a pretty aggressive piece of top end, right? Like, it's multiple bodies, it's reach if they don't have removal, so it does interesting things from that perspective. I really don't like this card in the format. Like, I get that we can cheekily give it haste with this, but there's just so many matchups that are about putting creatures on the board that this card just can't get its initial attack off a lot of the time. And I think it's just better off served as Legion War Boss in the matches where you just want to erase people who aren't blocking you. And I don't think that style of effect really belongs in the main deck. Skirk Prospector and Torch Courier, interesting, but again, felt worse than the other 1-drops that I played in the other build. Speaking of the other build, we're going to roll right on into that to see if I potentially